All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into a topic that, on the surface, seems pretty straightforward: the different types of vulnerability scans. Sounds like a simple list, a quick rundown, but as we're about to find out, sometimes the most important information is actually what's missing. Okay, so here it is. This is the source material for today. We've got our title, Types of Vulnerability Scans. Sets the stage perfectly, right? We're all set to learn about the different ways to find digital weaknesses. But well, as you can see, that's it. That's the entire thing. Just a title, and then nothing. And that's the big mystery we're going to solve today. Where's all the content? Now, this isn't just some mistake or a glitch in the system. We're actually going to treat this empty space not as an error, but as a puzzle. The lack of information itself, that's our first clue. So let's start digging in. The fact that this note is incomplete is, believe it or not, the most important clue we have. It forces us to ask a much bigger question than just, what are the types of scans? Instead, we have to ask, why does it matter so much that we know them in the first place? Since we have absolutely nothing else to go on, the title itself has to be our roadmap. Types of vulnerability scans. These 4 words are all we've got, so let's break them down and see what they tell us. Okay, so first things first, we need to build a solid foundation. Before we can really get why the types are so important, we have to be crystal clear on what a vulnerability and a scan even are. Let's define our terms. First up, vulnerability. The easiest way to think about this is to picture a house. A vulnerability is like an unlocked back door, maybe a window you left open on the first floor, or even just a cheap lock that's easy to pick. It's basically any weakness that a bad guy could use to get inside. So what's a scan? Well, if the vulnerability is the unlocked door, a scan is like the security guard who does the rounds. Systematically checking every single door, jiggling every handle, and peering in every window to see if anything's open. It's that automated, methodical search for all those weak spots. So here's the deal. When you put them together, a vulnerability scan is just that. Is systematic, automated search for all those digital unlocked doors and open windows in a system. Seems simple enough, right? But this brings us right back to the most important word in our original clue, the one that was missing. So we've got vulnerability and we've got scan. But the real key to this whole puzzle is the word types. This is the piece of information that our source document left completely blank, and it's the real heart of the mystery. Why isn't just one type of scan good enough? And, that's a totally fair question. If the whole goal is just to find weaknesses, shouldn't one really good, thorough scan get the job done? I mean, why make it more complicated by having different types? The answer to that question actually reveals a fundamental truth about security. And this, right here, illustrates the problem perfectly. Without any details, we're just guessing. Is there a difference between a shallow scan and a deep one? What about an internal scan versus an external one? Or a scan for web apps versus one for network hardware? See, each type is built to look for specific kinds of unlocked doors. If you only run one type, you are guaranteed to miss something. And this leads us to the huge danger of a one-size-fits-all approach. Imagine this. You run a generic scan. It comes back clean. You think, great, we're secure. But that scan was never designed to find a very specific kind of hidden flaw. So while you're feeling safe and sound, that digital back door is still just sitting there, wide open. Now, this isn't just some theoretical idea. That blank space in our document, it represents a real-world knowledge gap. And in cybersecurity, what you don't know isn't just a missed learning opportunity. It is an active, dangerous threat. What's so wild is that our source material, this empty note, has become a perfect metaphor for one of the most common failures in security. The empty space is a blind spot. It's the risk you don't even know you should be looking for. It's all the questions you haven't even thought to ask yet. In fact, get this. Over 90% of successful cyber breaches happen by exploiting known but unpatched vulnerabilities. These aren't some super secret brand new attacks. They are flaws that organizations often thought they were protected against, simply because they weren't running the right type of scan to find them. And that just cuts right to the heart of it. A determined attacker isn't going after the front door you're guarding. No, they're looking for the little window you completely forgot existed. Being aware of the different types of threats out there, that's the first and most critical layer of any real security. So as we start to wrap up our little investigation here, the lesson from that empty note becomes crystal clear. It's not about memorizing a long list of scan types. It's about acknowledging that blind spots exist and that real security comes from actively trying to shine a light on them. So let's just quickly recap the clues we pieced together. 1. A vulnerability is just a digital weakness. 2. A scan is the tool we use to find those weaknesses. 3, and this is the big one, the type of scan you use determines what you can and can't find. And all of that leads us to our final takeaway: your biggest vulnerability is always the gap in your own knowledge. And so we end with this: the mystery of the missing text. It was never really about a list of terms. It was a lesson in perspective. It forces us to ask ourselves, what aren't we looking for? In our jobs, in our digital lives, what are the threats we haven't even thought to check for? Because it's in that blank space, the one you don't even know is there, that the real danger is hiding.